Well, good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life as always. Wanted to get on and talk to people tonight about a serious situation that we're all dealing with, evidently. And that is in regards to learning your lessons. Particularly being brought on by a situation of social networking friend that many of us may be familiar with. Earlier today at Columbus, Ohio, and evidently 2 officers were shot, and not real sure on the details yet since they cut all the videos and removed the YouTube channels and everything pretty much almost instantaneously. I think it all happened within 15 minutes after this supposed standoff or this standoff. What I'd like people to comprehend here is that when we're trying to learn this stuff, as I've expressed several times, when I got heavily involved in this 4 years ago, in my traffic court thing, I was quite belligerent. I was quite radical. I was quite irrational. I was quite emotional. And it didn't bid well for me. I ended up doing some jail time. Of course, despite how it ended up, I did in fact end up with some sort of a win, if you want to call it that, because I had learned from my previous 5 possession charges that each and every time I got a possession charge, I got the full max penalties with an attorney. So this time I figured, well, if they're going to give me max penalties, I don't need an attorney. Well, somehow, by telling this supposed, I guess, what did they call it, a standby attorney, I told him I didn't need an attorney, and the court, of course, insisted on, quote, assigning a public pretender. And so when he come up to me and tried to assert that he was going to be administrating the case, I simply told him, listen, I don't know you. You don't represent me. And if you say one word, I will hold you personally, and I will hold you liable in both your personal and private capacities. Zip. Not one peep out of him. Not one peep. In fact, when the judge tried to order him to make me sign a waiver of trial by jury, or jury trial as they call it, and I refused, the judge tried telling him to have me sign it. And instead of speaking a word, he sat there at the table and went, that's how powerful that word liable is. But back to the point of learning your lesson. It comes down, I firmly believe, in getting rid of all that internal animosity, all the internal emotions and hatred and anger and everything. And granted, I do express that anger. I do express my emotions. I'm sure many of you have seen it through these. But that's just an expression. And it's at a different time. When dealing with these people, even the people that are watching my video to this day, hi folks, I've stated many times, I'm never going to pick up a gun in order to kill somebody. I'm supposed to sacrifice my body. So if somebody wants to come up against me with arms and kill me, that's on them. However, at the same time, I will effect as much fending for myself as I can with reason and logic, rather than emotion and irrationalities. I will take my time to do my research. If somebody posts something and I have some information available for them, and I post it, and they reply to that comment within seconds asking me what that means, it tells me they haven't even invested in themselves to learn. And therefore, they're never going to learn their lesson. You have to take the time. You have to get rid of the animosity. You have to be able to bring yourself to a state of peace so that you can do your research in that peace so that you can comprehend what you're researching. Even in the beginning of my researching, when I was researching and trying to express this stuff, you guys can go back to my videos in the beginning and see how different I am today. That's because even my research has evolved as I've evolved, as I've recognized my faults in myself. Even in my own research, while I'm sitting there angry, doing my research, and it's not bringing me the answers that I'm looking for, because my emotions have me all bound up, all cross-eyed, blinded. You can't do that, folks. You can't do that. If you're going to learn, and again, this is why I expressed that and again, I've got to say here, it's only in my own opinion, but we have to get back to the roots of the words that they place terms and conditions on for contractual purposes. What are contractual purposes? That means that you can contract them back down to their origin. So Elijah, it doesn't matter whether you drove or you walked. Either one of them is a lie. In truth, those are just means by which we travel. That comes first. And then the means by which we traveled is incorporated or used or employed or conducted. So many synonymous words there. But it is only from that time on where we get into that horse and carriage that is affected as a means of the travel. That we are constantly in a state of, and a state for, sojourning in the boots of His gospel. Not some twisted, perverted, legislated words that have the terms and conditions of contracts on them. This is why when you walk into that post office, let me explain something to you about the indignant, ignorant, and incompetency of every postmaster that I have ever known, that despite their jurisdiction, and not even realizing their own jurisdiction in a martial capacity, lower officer of an inferior jurisdiction. Does that make any sense to any one of you? Why would the postmaster in his position call some dog? Because that's what they are. So again, don't argue with the postmaster standing there telling him you're going to see him in court. That's a threat. Don't do it. That is not equity. Learn your lesson, young man. I'm trying to help you out. Then you go around calling my friends names. I comprehend what you're doing. I see the passion in your heart. But please, before you go stepping all that strong like you are now, correct yourself, young man. I love you all. I even love the guys that are still watching my video from 4 years ago. The guy that sat there as standby counsel and zipped his mouth. I love you, brother. I'm told to. I'm told to let any decision beyond that, to leave it to him to judge. So I do my best to do so. So I urge you guys, all you brothers and sisters out there, before you go looking to the legislated word to try to correct your landlord in these COVID evictions, before you try using statutory words or law of nation or even the Lieber Code or Admiralty, whatever jurisdiction you're trying to use to put them in their place, put yourself in place first. Otherwise, you're going to end up just like Rexton Lotus Justice, end up in jail. You're going to... Ken down there in Florida just managed to barely escape his life. Not too long ago, they took him in. Held him for a number of days. They're going to do the same thing to you, man. They're going to do the same thing to you. I suggest you slow down. Kevin, you just got out of jail for 9 months because you didn't know how to enforce it. And I'm telling you, that's where I was at. Back when I fought this case, and I thought I knew enough I could put them plates on my truck and substantiate it. And like I said, yeah, so in my case it was sort of a win because 5 possession charges and I got max penalties. This time, they ended up giving me 60 days. I did 47. I walked out refusing to sign any release papers because the judge had already given discharge orders. And I've been sitting quietly doing my research ever since. If I have interactions, I do my best to stand up and do so peacefully. Even when there's 10 of them standing on the roadside and I'm on private property trying to help the landowner protect his children. And they're standing there with guns. I'm standing here like this with my camera. This is my weapon. You know, we have this thing. Everybody knows that Big Brother's keeping an eye on us, right? And I've mentioned this a couple times. These First Amendment auditors going out here and doing these First Amendment audits. That's the wrong way to do it. You want to do a First Amendment audit? These people are already on camera. Help them out. Let's put some more cameras out there, people. These officers that are being charged with not having their cameras on. Why are we running around with phones like this at arm's length? Why are we not using body cams? Why don't we have a body cam right here ourselves as we're walking around all day that's got a live feed direct to a cloud source? So that if anything, even any minor event at the local hospital where they want to scream for security because you ask them about the HIPAA laws, it's recorded, the initial reaction, whether security was there or not, whether the postmaster wants to call the police officer or not, it's already recorded. That's your weapon, people. Peace. Always and forever soldiering in the gospel of His word in peace, loving thy neighbor, whether they love you or not. You know, I struggle day by day. I've got a PayPal link and hardly anybody ever hits it. I don't complain about it. Sure, I still ask for contributions. I always will. I need them just as much as anybody else, at least until I can get my own situation rectified. But as of now, I'm trying to stay in that, sustain that level of peace. I come in peace, I am in peace, and I'll leave in peace. Again, it might come to a scary situation where I might just have to sacrifice this body, but I understand the importance of doing so for my brothers and my sisters, letting them know there are certain times when you should stand up and the other times where you need to just back down. When they're strangling somebody in the street right in front of you, it's time to stand up. When they got 10 people, 10 armed officers on the roadside trying to take innocent little children, calling them fugitives, it's time to stand up. But until then, you need to bring yourself to peace. Inside. You have to realize your problems. You have to satisfy your own needs first before any desires. And if your needs are actually being met, then don't complain, don't beg. We're not supposed to want. It even says that in the Bible. So, granted, a lot of you might look up to me as one of these forerunners against corruption, but please, don't think I'm ever going to be radical like Rexton Lotus Justice. Don't think that I'm ever going to be going forward without paperwork and capability of being able to substantiate it. If I get another automobile, I will put private plates on it. I can substantiate it now. But there are other things that I have to put in place before I can do so. And the first thing I have to put in place is myself. Period. I can't put myself in your shoes, and this is why my truth is not your truth. Your truth is not your truth is not my truth, and I cannot do your paperwork for you. So, when it comes down to the reality of things, I hope you guys get my most abundant message, most important message that I hope to be sharing is love. First and foremost. And in so doing, in so realizing the logic behind that, you can keep yourself rational. Because even I watched couple videos of Rexton Lotus Justice before on her YouTube channel before they actually went and got her this morning. And to sit there with carbon monoxide alarms going off and to actually be prepared to hold up in your house with a full-fledged gas mask is just showing abundant clarity that despite all the biblical words she speaks, that somewhere it did make more sense to her to open up all the windows and just step outside for a few. And it's sad. Because that's one of the elements they might try to use against her and trying to proclaim that she's insane. That's why they're going after her. They're saying that she's a nut. Because of the way she speaks out radically. That's why I'm not trying to profess that anything is this or anything is that. I'm trying to profess that you guys need to do your own research so you can eventually learn your lessons. Because that's what everything in life is all about. Each and every step is a lesson. Whether you recognize it or not is up to you. The intent in one's heart can never be construed by another person or another man properly if it's not known pure first. If you're wishy-washy in any way, and again, I'm going back to the Second Amendment and your right to bear arms. If you honestly believe you have the right to bear arms without being able to recognize your inherent ability to maintain your own armorial bearing, then you're going to go out there and get killed. You're being radical. If you want to enforce your right to bear arms, explain where that right to bear arms comes from. Why do they call it right to bear arms, when in fact it's your inherent legacy of following your armorial bearing, your religious morals? And they even speak about that in the martial law. I've been doing my Zoom calls, Zoom meetings on the Libra Code here lately, and it discusses it directly in there. They are not to act against anything having to do with private religion and morals. Period. They can only deal with their public realm. And when they deal with their public realm, public property is not considered our public property. It's considered public property of the victorious government that is occupying the nation. So again, when you go out to do these First Amendment audits, beware. When you go to the post office, you're doing it wrong, young man. You want to deal with the post office? You deal with the post office like this. This is their means of travel. This is their means of travel. See that? That's one hole. That's not a canceled stamp. That's one hole franking that went through their postal system and even has the electronic barcode recording it. Stay out. Trying to help you. Kevin, I'm glad you're out. Hope you learned a lesson. I hope we're all learning a lesson. Because that's what it's about. If you're not constantly learning, you're dying. I had a little young man when I was down in Missouri not too long ago. I'm going to explain it again. He looked at me, 6 years old. And this kid, they claim that he's just a kid. Just a little child. And most people don't look to children for wisdom. Would seem logical. But this kid looked at me in the eye, first time I ever met him. And he said, most people are dead their entire lives. Most people are dead their entire lives. How does he know? How does he know and you don't? How does he know at 6 years old and it took me 50 years? So why shouldn't I listen to him? It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a child to teach the village. How screwed up is that? It is screwed up, isn't it? I hope you guys comprehend that you really do need to slow down, because it's the system that's trying to force you to speed up so you don't remember and you forget and you omit and you're unfit. What do you mean unfit? What's un mean? Does that mean one? It sounds awful familiar as one. Is that what you mean? Because I don't comprehend your legalese. What do you mean by unfit? I fit these clothes pretty damn good. If you want me to unfit, sure, I'll unfit. Is that what you mean? Let's clarify this shit. See, 4 years ago when I went into that trial and I realized they couldn't give me any more than the max sentence, very well, let's go for the max then. See, the guy that has nothing to lose has everything to gain. And that's how these courts work. So in all of your efforts, let me explain something to you people. In all of your efforts to escape the commercial system so you can prove that you can operate with that commercial system. Why? Why? You know the only thing they can effect is public money, right? Do you know we have no private money and you're crying about money? Because you're not creating it. And I don't think you should. I think you should just trade. So let's get down to the roots of the reality of it all. For the root of all evil is love of money. It's like I explained about them red registered labels. Told you guys. I explained it in a video last week. The red registered labels are insured if the materials in the envelope have a substantiated value. Have a substantiated value. You cannot just put documents in an envelope that have a $2.5 million claim and say you want to insure it. It has to be substantiated. Otherwise, as you learned today, Elijah, it's merely under lock and key. You used that term yourself. They told you it's under lock and key. They didn't tell you it was insured because it's not. Go back and look at that video and see the 3 different receipts for the 3 different documents that were, 2 of them were identical letter form. The other one was bound like a book to go to the local clerk or local court, district court. And guess what? All 3 of them are different. Why are they different? 2 of them have this stamp for some kind of indemnification of $25,000, but it's only under lock and key, so it's not actually indemnified. Right? One they charged me $1 to register it. The other one they charged me $2 to register it. And then the third one, they charged me $2 to register it, put $50,000 indemnification. And it was, let me see. Let me get that. I want to show you this. Okay. This one here, let me get these here. Oops. Hold on just a second here, folks. Okay. We have hold on. Things are giving me an issue here. Ha! Giving me an issue. Isn't that funny one? Okay. we have 3 receipts here. I sent 3 big envelopes out just like that. 2 of them were identical in letter form. And the third one, like I said, was in book form. It was all the pages were glued on the edge and bound like a book. The first one we see, they charged me $1. And it says clearly, domestic insurance up to $25,000 is included in the fee. International indemnity is limited. Comprehend that, guys? International indemnity is limited. Why? Why? Because if there's no stated value, it's not insured. It's only under lock and key. This one, they charged me $2. And we see this one went to Portfolio Recovery Associates. This one went to the U.S. Attorney General, William Barr. Domestic insurance up to $25,000 is included in the fee. International indemnity is limited. Identical. 2 different places. The date stamp and everything, all that's identical. But they charged me $1 as opposed to $2 for identical parcels. The third one, and notice both of these went out of state, Washington, D.C. and Norfolk, Virginia. This one here, they charged me $2. Now read this. And notice, it says, domestic insurance up to $50,000 is included based upon the declared value. International indemnity is limited. Why does it not make a statement about declared value here, folks? Huh? Huh? And all of a sudden it does. Why are there these differences? Do you people ask these questions? I do. This is the first time I've done registered mail. I didn't realize this stuff till I got back. Oh. Back to the other side. Let me show you something else. I didn't even realize this until just now. There's 2 right there. I've got both of these $25,000 ones right here. Okay. Damn touchscreen. Okay. These are the both. I'll separate them just a little bit so you can see. So you know there's 2. Okay. Look at that black bar on the top. And then it says return receipt. And it says restricted delivery. Extra services and fees. Signature confirmation. Signature confirmation restricted delivery. See that? $17.45 and $2. $16.45 and $1. And $17.45 and $2. Why? Why is there proof in, on, and for the records recognizable by the detailed facts a discrepancy? Meaning there is a error, a mistake that must be corrected. And that's in the postal jurisdiction. You know, Elijah, that guy that called the local police department with an inferior jurisdiction to come support him? Who are you going to call to support you? You going to call the postmaster? You going to call the police? You going to call the president? Who are you going to call? So, why would you insist on keep confronting these people face to face? You better learn your lessons, both in learning how to read, learning how to write, and learning how to construct the documents necessary to prove your substantiation without having to physically present your body for sacrifice. Stay out of the sacrificial realm if you don't want to sacrifice your body. In the meantime, that's about all I got for today. I'm hoping to push this point. You guys really need to slow down in this stuff. I know it's important. I know it's important to get it done. But if you're going to confront these people face to face, you're doing it wrong, and you're doing it in too big of a hurry. We have to realize these people will use the martial law to kill you. Particularly if you're going to shoot at them first. Because from what I understand, she shot at them first. I'm not sure yet. Not all the full. Don't go saying that's what I said, because I can't substantiate it. But from what I comprehend, from what I've seen so far, with further details yet to come, I hope they don't just suicide her. But we know that's a very possible reality that could come to fruition. So let's pray that it doesn't. And let's hope that we can help each other learn our own lessons and the importance of doing so peacefully. They want you to war. That gives them an excuse to depopulate you. Their own martial law says they're not to harass, harm, injure, trespass any peaceful inhabitant living under religion and morals. So think about this stuff, people. I hope this is going to make an impression upon you. I hope you share this video far and wide, because everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs to start learning their lessons, and they need to start doing it in a certain way instead of all these radical actions. These protesters going out here and professing that they're peacefully protesting while they let people within their ranks burn and pillage is not a peaceful protest, and therefore they are too lying. Elijah, you didn't walk. That's just merely a means. You omitted the reality that you are a sojourn in His gospel, in the gospel of His word. He led me here. He led me to do what I'm doing today. By whatever means. So anyway, I think that's about at the end of this video. When I get done here, I'll go ahead and post my other forum links and as well as my PayPal link. And again, I'm going to ask you guys to help me out. I need all the help I can get, just like you guys. I'm not full done with it yet, and until I do, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I have no help in this town. This is one of the most corrupt towns in the entire nation, and has been voted 5 times since 2000 to be the most corrupt town in the nation. These people don't give a flying fuck. Even the people that live here that are sitting there crying for their rights and whining and Black Lives Matter and 99.9% of the people are doing it all wrong because they're emotional about it. And you need to get over that emotion. Kevin, how can you be homeless? How can you be homeless? I've done a video on this before, people. I was given dominion of the land, air, and water. It is his. It is not to be sold. It is his land, and it is his home for me. Just because I may not have a box over my head doesn't mean I am homeless. I am home wherever I roam. Wherever I sojourn. I am home. I can't let somebody else define me. If I am living under a bridge, that is my home. If I'm living in a tree, that is my home. If I'm living in a cave, that is my home. So think about this stuff. And remember, you have no shelter? Is that how you feel? Kevin, you're bringing up points that I'm trying to point out to you. You have no shelter. What do you know about captain? Cap. Tain. To hold. Isn't that what a shelter is? Can't you shelter yourself? By realizing your true origin and that He is the captain, He is the one that gives you the helmet of salvation while you sojourn in the booth of His gospel, wearing the breastplate of righteousness cinched up with the belt of truth as you do so in that sojourning, fending off all that would ward off the truth with the shield of truth, the shield of faith, and fighting back with the sword of His word. I don't need any more shelter than I need a home. That's why I urge, when I post these links, if you guys aren't familiar with my other group, Man All Natural. You want to get back to your roots? All the herbal remedies, all the holistic solutions that are already there for your problems. It's only because you're commercially dependent that you want to go out there and accost that postmaster. It's only because we've been indoctrinated, and I'm right there with you in this indoctrination, folks. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. We've been indoctrinated into this commercial system, and so long as you keep depending upon that, and the commercial value for these insurance red registered labels and stuff, so long as you keep depending upon that, you're stuck in it. Like I said, when I sent those out last week, that's the first time. If they give me any guff, oh wow. I know how to forward my next part of the claim. That's the second notice. I'm sorry, but you still haven't addressed the cross libel, which is superior jurisdiction, which shows that the supposed plaintiff that you brought in and said that they granted you jurisdiction means they validated the debt. I'd like to see the validation that I asked for prior now. I asked for validation. Evidently, they gave it to you. Can I see that validation? Because without that validation, you're accepting jurisdiction of a personal matter that they obviously don't have and can't validate. Doesn't that show complicity? Doesn't that show unlawful jurisdiction, unlawful enforcement of a commercial matter without the true nexus of a contract? Wake up, people. Because I still care less about their contracts. I'm not seeking money. I want them to quit stepping on my fucking doorstep. Anyway, I think I'm done with that. I'll go ahead and, like I said, I'll post my other forum links along with that PayPal link. I would really appreciate it. If anything, share some love. I could use it. In the meantime, remember, folks, Despite how angry or adamant I might get, I am in peace. I come in peace, I am in peace, and I'll leave in peace. And I love you all. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So God bless you. Have a great day. And remember, hit that PayPal button for me, please.